Thank you for tuning in to the Music Lovers Podcast, where we explore all types of music,
reminiscing on the old jams and putting you on to what's new.
We are your hosts, Megan.
Ashley,
and Kalila, and we want to know,
Do you speak music? God wants a yeah.
mm-mm-mm.
hey, welcome back to Do You Speak Music, the Music Lovers Podcast. We are your hosts, Kalila, Ashley, and Megan. It's been a rough couple of weeks, y'all. How you holding up?
Kim, you want to go?
It has been rough. Um, where do I even begin? I don't have, black sons, but I really, really empathize with women who do, but I have a black husband. Like, I have black uncles, I have black men who are my cousins and friends that I value. And so I know nobody is living under a rock and everybody is aware of everything that the African American community is kind of dealing with right now. So it has been tough. And I think for me, one of the harder things is that I'm not really able to turn off social media because of work. And that's been hard. So when things are happening around the world, I try to encourage other people, to turn off the news or like turn off the internet. I'm like, get away, delete the apps, do what you can to protect your mental health. And I haven't been able to do that. So that has definitely been hard. I would say that one of the ways that I have been able to kind of cope is by creating a playlist. So I created a music playlist just to try to give me some sort of escape from everything that's happening, and not because I don't want to be involved, but because it's a lot, it's a lot on us mentally. The both of you have black men who are your fathers. Like, you have a brother, and it's just like so much happening all at once. And so for me, I've just been able to listen to a lot of music, some old, some new. I've kind of incorporated like Lupe Fiasco and Common, and I told you guys one of my favorite freedom songs is Donny Hathaway, Someday We'll All Be Free. And I don't necessarily know the right way, or I don't think I have all of the answers, but I think that one little way that I can try to give myself some sort of mental break, in this fight, in this struggle, is to just listen to some music that will help kind of further our mission, is just to get justice and to get some equality, because we've been waiting 400 years. We still ain't got it.
And truth is, I'm tired.
Yeah, I think
we ain't got no options.
No. So I think for me, I have been able to kind of turn off social media, just because obviously, like, after everything, like the weekend where it was like really bad, everything was just very heavy on social media. And of course, you want to stay aware, and you want to stay just knowledgeable about everything that's happening. But also, like Kalila said, I got a black brother, I have a black dad, and I have black cousins. Even, all of us, really. I mean, it's not just black men, it's black women. It's heavy, and you're thinking about it all the time. And you're seeing like your timelines are being flooded with it, and you turn on the TV and you're being flooded with it. So sometimes, like, I just have to turn it off, and like you said, protect your mental health, because we're still in the middle of a pandemic. So it's still things, you got residual stuff going on from that. And then you got, or are you not, if you're not worried about, contracting the virus, then you're worried about just going outside one day to go get some gas or something and being, I don't know, harassed or whatever. You just worried about your life in all these different ways. So sometimes you just got to turn it off. And that's what I've been able to do. Just, and then again, listen to the music, maybe not even like freedom music or whatever, just music that just keeps, stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of how I've been dealing with it. I guess doing the best I can, doing the best we all can, and then just, surrounding myself with just love. Because, all this stuff, love isn't canceled, and we still have all these people in our lives who, all these, the love from y'all, love from family, love from friends, like, love conquers all. This is super churchy, but John 4:18 says perfect love casts out fear. So you just gotta, surround yourself with more.
Y'all need some scripture. Ain't no wrong with that.
I was gonna say, don't apologize now. We are not ashamed.
We are not, and we're not. And I mean, y'all, if y'all know us, y'all know we grew up in the church, so it's gonna ooze out anytime, anywhere. So yeah, I just been doing that. What about you, Ashley? How you been dealing with everything?
I haven't stepped away from social media. I can't even lie. I think the hardest thing has been trying not to argue with people on social media, because one of my pet peeves, I hate when people just repost things and don't look into it, or don't, like, people have been reposting so many articles that came out in like 2016 or 2017, like just old information, and get people riled up over things that have already been resolved or things that have already happened. So that's been difficult. Like, I really be trying not to call people out, like, and then into the division on social media and people just arguing over trivial things. And I'm just like, we have bigger fish to fry, honestly. So since I haven't really stepped away from social media, and I need to, I'm going to work on that this week. I just been trying to, like, post positivity and post accurate information, I guess you could say. Just to kind of help push the cause along, I guess. So doing what I can in a small way. But I am going to stepping back from social media because it's a mess.
I mean, of course, it's what you can handle.
Work has been keeping me distracted too. So I'm actually grateful that I'm back at work now, because at least for 8 hours a day, I'm not thinking about all the heaviness around us. So
yeah.
Well, I kind of talked a little bit about the type of music that I had been listening to throughout the last 2 weeks. So kind of tell me what you guys have had in rotation, or if there's something you had on repeat, anything new that you've been listening to, maybe to help with the distractions and kind of get your mind off of things a little bit.
So I've been listening to the Insecure Season 4 soundtrack, because I just trust Issa Rae and her musical mind. Like, every show she puts out, anything she puts out, the soundtrack is always just fire. Yeah. So I've been listening to Insecure 4 soundtrack. And I also went back and I've been listening to Good Girl Gone Bad by Rihanna, because it came out 13 years ago in May. Like May 31st, 2007 or something like that. And so somebody posted about the anniversary of it, and that's when I was like, ooh, I'm like, let me go listen to this album again. And I forgot how good it was. That was a good album. Like, Rihanna has put out consistent work, so
that's true.
That's what I've been listening to.
Oh no, we're on like 2007. Oh man, and I swear, you hear 2007 and you'd be like, oh, that was like 5 years ago. You're like, no, it wasn't.
13.
Yeah. I've been listening to some John Coltrane. I've been listening to Maverick City is still just in heavy rotation. And I've been listening.
I need to get with the program.
Please.
I'm ready.
Just the first 3 songs, even though I don't even know if I should say this. The second song, I love what it's saying. I don't know if I necessarily can appreciate not appreciate. I don't know if I like the vocal performance on it, but that's just my personal opinion.
Somebody's a little shady today.
Yeah, so but it's for the king, and the message is there.
Wow, Megan.
I know. I mean, but
Bashing the Lord's work.
honest,
Right.
best policy. And then I've also been listening to, what have I been listening to? They have of course, everybody has a black playlist now because
Right.
of everything that's going on. But they have a black power playlist, and it's music from like 1967 to 1975 on Spotify. So I've been listening to that. Yeah, I've been listening to, and it's not all like, Black Panther, stuff like that. It's just
Right.
our music, like good music from 1967 to 1975. So I've been playing. Midnight Train to Georgia is one of my jams, so I've been playing. Yes. So yeah.
I think it's cool that most music platforms have put out black playlists, because I know Spotify had that one, and then Apple had a Black Music Month playlist. I think Tidal, they did producers, like they had different playlists by different black producers last week. And then this week they have playlists by different songwriters. So they have like a Smokey Robinson playlist, songs written by Stevie Wonder playlist, John to Austin, Neo. So
I like that.
I think that's good.
I like that. I do think that a lot of times we are placed in the room for our talent and not necessarily placed in the room or at the tables in the music industry for our decision-making skills. So it's always good to see, and sorry that it had to take for us to lose more lives, but it is still good to see these platforms and to see these brands pay attention. And I don't mean just a black square on Instagram or we stand with you graphic. Show me music industry. Show me who's on your exec board. Show me what your staff looks like. Not just black interns, but I want to see black A&R, black, producers and executives. So I won't get on my rant. I know we have a lot to talk about.
We do.
I know, right?
It's interesting though that you say that, because we watched a couple panels. Well, we watched the one panel about black women in A&R, and then I watched one. Yeah, it was really good. And I watched one yesterday with black execs. So they were in A&R, and I think there were a few other things. But it's just interesting. This isn't really music news, but it kind of is. It's kind of history, which is our episode today is kind of historically based anyway. But I was watching a panel about black execs, and it was interesting because he was talking about for a very long time, Motown basically owned black music, like distribution, who was putting it out, all this stuff. So once people were seeing how much black music was making, then the white execs or white companies wanted to have a black music division. But because but they didn't call it that initially.
Right.
So yeah, they didn't call it that initially. So what it was a black music division. But he said what was funny is that since the radios controlled the airplay and stuff, they wouldn't play black music unless it came from like a black. If a white exec brought them black music, they like, I'm not playing it because it's not coming from a black person. So they would hire black people to bring like black music to radio stations in order to play it. I guess like black radio stations. That's
sounds a lot like Chuck Berry a little bit.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Cadillac Records.
Yeah. It was.
Five Heartbeats.
You said what? Five
Heartbeats.
Wow.
They had the Horsemen when they was trying to get to put the white guys on the cover of the album.
Or that and Dreamgirls got me.
Yeah.
All that stuff. I mean, but it's recurring, but it happened, and it's if it's a black movie talk about black music back then, it's something that needs to be addressed because it happened time and time again. So, but I mean, since we're talking about it, our episode for today, one, I know we said we were going to talk about our top 10 favorite vocalists, and we will, but we cannot do we cannot be a podcast about Black music in the middle of Black Music Month, in the month where Juneteenth occurs, and not talk about Juneteenth.
For sure.
Or talk about the music throughout history that has either declared our Black pride, that has told people about our freedom, that has, you know, just told our stories, told things about what's actually happening in the Black community. Like we can't be a Black music podcast and not talk about things like that. So, and a disclaimer, we are by no means a political podcast, but there's a quote from Godfather of Harlem, and they said, you cannot be basically a Black, the quote is, you're Black in America, you have no choice but to be political, or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean,
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, so,
too. That's what I was gonna say. Like, besides all of that, like, at the base of us, we're Black women. Like, we can't be Black women and not talk about our history and talk about Juneteenth. I can't do it.
Absolutely not. So here's a little history for those who don't know exactly what Juneteenth is. So as we all know, everybody talks about the Emancipation Proclamation. Civil War ended in April of 1865, and all the slaves were supposed to be free. Unfortunately, there were slaves in Texas who did not get the horse on the carriage, the letter. They didn't get
the message in the bottle because it was snail mail.
They didn't get snail mail. Whatever it was, they didn't get it until June 19th of 1865. So that is our Freedom Day. That is our Independence Day, June 19th, 1865. And I mean, I think it's always been celebrated in Texas, of course, because that's where, you know, it occurred. But I think within the past few years, it's gotten more and more recognition, because I heard about it because my mom has always instilled, you know, Black pride and Blackness and Black history into our upbringing. So I knew about it, but it hasn't always been talked about. So, you know, freedom, that's our official day of freedom, but we all know we've been fighting for it every day since. And the music that has been made from Black people has been talking about how we want that freedom, how, you know, we deserve it, and all this good stuff. So that's what we're talking about today. Do you guys have, besides, you know, clearly your freedom song, what are some songs from the past that really kind of strike a chord with you, or that stick out the most for you?
Girl, let me tell you something. I don't know why, but when I was younger, and you know, you always had the Black History Month assembly. I have no idea why, even as a little girl, any Negro spiritual or like movies about slavery, I was like obsessed with them. Even to this day, the other day, Amazon Prime. So for those of you who have Amazon Prime, Just Mercy can be rented for free. And I believe there are other films as well, other pieces of work that you're able to rent for free. And I can appreciate that. Shout out to Jeff and the people over at Amazon. Thank you. Thank you for that. And so the other day I was watching Just Mercy, and my mom made a comment, and she's like, oh, this must be another civil rights movie, or this must be something about the slaves. You know, Kalila always want to watch something about slaves. and I laugh, but it's true. Even, you know, my mom knows as a little girl, I would watch. Do y'all remember Selma, Lord Selma? With Journey Smollett? When I tell you, I had to watch that over and over and over again. So even as a little girl, like any Negro spirituals, well, we say Negro spirituals, but you know, any of the songs that told our story, that were messages to one another, I have just always been so fascinated by them. And speaking of Juneteenth, I also want to point out today I was reading on Twitter that Twitter and Square are making Juneteenth company-wide holidays.
Oh, nice. Do they get the day off?
And I was like, well, look at that.
Wow.
You know, so while people are upset about us using our voice or upset at our generation and the generation after us, so millennials and Gen Z, you know, people are upset with us for the way that things have happened, but we got attention, and slowly but surely it looks like some action is happening.
I was gonna say there's progress being made. So
oh yeah, for sure, people are
definitely.
yeah. So the songs, you know, like Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, even as a little girl, I used to be sobbing like, "That's my jam."
Let me ride, oh sweet. Won't
you can't sing that song and not sing the Fight Temptations version.
That is not my favorite version, but yeah,
I was about to say they ruined it for us.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even earlier, you know, just talking about how I created this playlist, I've just really been listening to a lot of Billie Holiday, and just thinking about how so many Black women who had musical talents were not given the opportunity to perform at, you know, the national halls in DC, or thinking about Marian Anderson and how she was able to sing on the steps in front of, you know, the Lincoln Memorial, which was a big deal. And yeah, just there's so much that we have attributed to music and we've really driven music forward. But I feel like even before 1619, you know, when we were taken and brought here by force, not by choice, we still kept music as a way to communicate and, you know, keep those secrets and keep those rituals and those traditions amongst ourselves. And so that's what I love so much, even about, I don't listen to it as often as most of my peers, but that's another thing I love about rap music. Like, it's still our language. It's our way of, you know, communicating our struggle, our triumphs, things that, you know, our highs and lows, and we understand that it's like our secret code.
What about you? Oh my goodness. What about you, Ashley? What songs in particular kind of, you know, strike a chord or just are super memorable for you?
Man, I'll never forget the first time I heard "For Women" by Nina Simone and like really understood it. I wept, just like wept. Just, I don't know, Nina Simone had a way of just like emoting that you just felt the pain in every word. Because that song is so raw about the trials and tribulations of the Black woman, period. That song, and then I love Young, Gifted, and Black by Donny Hathaway. That song encourages me. You know what other song? Y'all probably gonna laugh at me. Y'all know "Ain't No Stopping Us Now."
That was my kindergarten graduation song.
That thing gets me hyped up. I don't know why, but something about that song makes me so happy. And like,
did they play that? And I could be wrong. Did somebody play that at like one of the rallies when at the time Senator Obama was running for presidency?
Probably.
I think like that was one of the songs.
Because he had like a playlist that he would play at his rallies and speeches. Because I know that, I think that song, I know "Sign, Seal, Deliver," he played all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Al Green. So I think that was on the playlist.
Well, first of all, like I said, that song is my kindergarten graduation song. Every time I hear it, it brings me back to Forrest Foster Montessori Academy, class of 1997. So, and you know, they played it on the little piano. That was the song that we walked into and stuff like that. So that's one of the songs that definitely.
I don't even remember kindergarten graduation.
I was just about to ask, Khalifa, do you remember your kindergarten song?
No.
I remember mine. It was "I know tomorrow will bring a better you, a better me. I know
feel bad.
I still know all the words. Huh?
Khalifa don't remember hers.
I don't remember kindergarten. I remember 8th grade and high school.
We didn't have it either.
I remember 8th grade because it was Whitney Houston.
The Greatest Love of All?
Yes, ma'am.
I believe children.
Yes. Yes.
Teacher
But
Bell.
kindergarten, I don't remember kindergarten. And I was
It's
going
probably I Believe I Can Fly.
I was going to a predominantly white school at the time for kindergarten. So, girl, one no
It was
kente cloths being worn up in that graduation.
y'all graduation song was Bop.
Girl, listen. My kindergarten teacher played country music every day during that time, okay? So I remember her name though. Yeah.
So that's one of the songs. But what's another song? A Change Is Gonna Come is one that really sticks in my brain. And one is because when you actually listen to the music, it's like it's a song it's a song of hope because it's declaring that a change is gonna come, but it's also again just bringing light to what was actually going on in the Jim Crow South. Even by I read somewhere I believe that, or I think maybe it was on the documentary The Two Killings of Sam Cooke on Netflix, but they said that they took out the second verse of that song where he was like, I went to the movie, I go downtown. They keep on telling me don't you hang around, or I went to my brother and I said, brother, help me please. But they keep knocking me back down on my knees. Like they didn't have that in the song. Like they took it out when they because it was too telling of everything that was going on, which is kind of crazy. They cut out that part, but then what actually made me aware of that song was the sing-off, Afro Blue. They did it. They did an a cappella version of it. So the sing-off I think it was like maybe 2010, 2011 or something like that. And they did it so well, but that was the first time that it was kind of brought to light. And even though the song initially came out in 1964, it still resonates. Sadly, it's still a song that can be applied to everything that's going on today. So, that's
Afro Blue.
Yes. Can we talk about Afro Blue and just how amazing? Oh my goodness. We'll have we'll talk about jazz and all that stuff.
I was gonna say we might have to have a whole acapella group episode because
for sure. We cannot exclude take 6.
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah. No, we cannot. But yeah, the sing off, Afro Blue, every week they blew you away with just how great they were. I'm like in college again. I just think about kind of where I was in college in terms of singing and stuff like that, and they just blew me away. But yeah, that was just really one of the songs that sticks out the most. And then another one, of course, Strange Fruit.
Yeah,
I was thinking about that.
Yeah, Strange.
Did you see J-Nova's?
I don't have a box of tissue nearby, so I'm.
Did y'all see J-Nova's version?
Yeah, I saw her.
I didn't. You guys need to send it to me.
I will. It's gonna get your tissues,
please. Yeah, and that's another one that she recorded it Billie Holiday recorded that in 1939. Here we are in 2020. And while it's a different version of what's going on, it's still going on. It's
to me, it's still a public thing without the noose, without the tree.
It's just a different method.
We're still under the chokehold, so to speak. Still trying to break chains.
Yeah.
Right. So send that to me. I want to listen to
it. For sure. Yeah, but that's another one. Those are kind of the ones that stick out in terms of just how it's sad that they still apply.
Yeah.
Well, of course, there are other songs that kind of give you hope and uplift you. So, what are there any songs for y'all that like kind of put you in a mindset of hope or not? Hope or pride, or get you to be like, all right, let's go do something, call to action. What are some songs like that for y'all?
That's a great question. I would say I have really been loving, and not because of what's happening with Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, but just even prior to that, I really started listening to Black by A$AP Ferg. And I don't even listen to A$AP Ferg, but I love the track. I love the beat. I love the way that it was made. And so that song really just the last, few days, it's got me hype. I'm like, yeah, I'm blackity black. I'm so black, I'm black. And I got these braids in my hair. Yes, black. Yeah.
What about you, Ash?
Oh, that's a good one. So I'll do an older song and a newer song. So Higher Ground by Stevie Wonder. That's a song that I don't know. It makes me proud. It gets me like pumped. Like teachers keep on teaching, preachers keep on preaching. Like it encourages you to keep going till we reach our higher ground. Like that's it. Like
I'm gonna add that to my playlist.
Yes, like that's it. Just makes me think like the fight will continue. We not letting up, and y'all just gonna have to deal. And y'all know I gotta shout out my girl Beyonce, Freedom. I've been playing that because that song, and I've been playing the live version when her and Kendrick did it at the BET Awards.
Powerful, very powerful.
Listen, it was just it. Everything about that was so black and raw and just, I don't know. I feel like they both just got some stuff off their chest during that performance. So I love that live version with her and Kendrick.
Yeah. For me, I think a song that kind of, well, I don't know if it's really a call to action, but Black America Again by Common. If you want to hear, what is going on,
right.
about
just
what,
take a moment.
Right,
what a man.
Right.
Don't get me in trouble, y'all.
The calls for the man that is Common. In the words of Kalila, God took his time.
Didn't he? And then put him in Chicago. So he just like sprinkled some just gold excellence on top of it. Like,
yeah.
Time out. I'm married. All right now.
Whatever. That don't mean you can't look. Anyway, so
you're married, you ain't blind.
I ain't blind.
Jacob gonna hate me.
Right. It's okay. He'll be all right. We love you, Jacob. So, but for Black America Again, if you want to hear what's going on in the Black community, if you want to hear about it, if for anybody who is confused, all you have to do is listen to that song. And I'm about to, honestly, in verse 1 and verse 2, I'm just about to go through all the things that he talks about just in that song. He talks about police brutality, slavery, stealing land, us, like Black on Black crime, the mental state of Black mothers, mass incarceration, pay disparity, dirty water, lack of diversity in the media. That's all in just the first verse. I mean, if you're confused about what's going on in the Black community, about the things like injustices going on in the Black community,
listen.
Even the second verse, colorism, how people are like listening to our music but not giving us the credit for it, gentrification, mental health, education, politics, all this stuff, again, in 2 verses. One song that can just tell you everything that's going on in all the injustices that are happening in the Black community. So that's one song that's just like, it's a call to action, and it's just like a way for education. So I mean, like, there's no way that you can listen to that song and not understand what's going on. And then but one song that gives me pride, and 2 songs kind of that give me pride and give me hope, Bigger by Beyonce from The Gift. A lot of people don't even know about that album because they think that it was a Lion King soundtrack. It's a completely The Gift is a completely different album, friends. Just put it out there. So Bigger is one that gives you pride and just reminds you, just in case you forgot. I mean, the house that I was raised in, it doesn't. I mean, there's no way that I can forget how Black and proud I am. But just in case you need a reminder, that's one of the songs. And then Everything's Gonna Be All Right, PJ Morton.
Yeah.
I mean, just from the like the slow version, and then going into kind of like the live and getting into the bump at the end. That's another song that just, if you just listen to the words, it's like, everything's gonna be all right. We've been here before, unfortunately, but this time it seems like we have a little bit of hope that it's gonna be different. So
Yeah.
Speaking of PJ, I for the last few days have been listening to Don't Let Go. And although, you know, I believe based on the visual that this is about like suicide prevention, but it just still to me is so relevant to today. Like, don't get weary, don't get tired, don't give up. Keep the pressure, keep doing what you have to do. If being radical is getting, our point across, then by all means, I say do it. I know everybody doesn't agree with that, and that's okay. We all have our own lane. But Don't Let Go by PJ Morton really has just been so helpful for me in these last couple of weeks because I work in education. I serve Black students who I'm trying to get them to go to college, and they like, I don't even want to be in high school. You know what I'm saying? So that song, and then now that you guys are talking, I started thinking about one of my favorite Lupe Fiasco songs from the Lasers album is All Black Everything. And in the lyrics, he's saying like, what if the Constitution was written by W.E.B. Du Bois? Like, what if the last 400 years in America, we actually enjoyed it? What if when we got here, we didn't have to work for free, that we were actually gainfully employed for the talents that we had, And so what if a Black woman, was voted head of the Ku Klux Klan, which wasn't actually a terrorist group? What if it was some other group? And so I think about those lyrics and I'm like, man, what if, Dr. King and Malcolm X, what if they died at 100?
Right.
What would the world look like if Dr. King read the eulogy for Malcolm X and they, were in their older age? So I think about that a lot, like what if it was an all Black everything? Like, what if we had an entire country that looked like what Tulsa, Oklahoma looked like in, the 1920s before it was destroyed and not given the due diligence to rebuild? I think about that often.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead, Ashley.
No, I just said that's deep.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that song, but I'm definitely going to listen to it.
I'll send it. Yeah, I'll send it.
Because it was on the playlist, right? The playlist that you made?
Mm-hmm. Yep, it was.
I had it on shuffle. I ain't get to that.
Yeah, that's okay. Keep it on shuffle. I don't want it all to be, back-to-back rap and back-to-back Dusties.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just the what if concept is it's a concept that it was explored there. I mean, it was even explored in the Netflix show Hollywood. Like, what if they would have diversified or been more inclusive in the 40s? Like, how different would the entertainment industry be opposed to how it is now?
Yeah.
So, it's interesting to explore that, but I think it's like Kalila said, kind of going back to another point that we've been using music to communicate and for years. I mean, just going all the way back to the Underground Railroad, where you sing a certain song and let somebody know you were there, and then you got jazz and you got the blues, and I mean, even like you said, rap was kind of our own language. You got songs like The Message that was in 1982 where they were like, this is what's going on in our community. But then you go a little bit later and it's like telling people, hey, this is what's going on, this is pleading. But then 6 years later, you got Fight the Power and they're like, listen, we tried to tell y'all. And then you got police and it's like,
we warned you.
This is what's going on. We tired of sharing the message. This is
what I said.
Right, exactly. This is how we feel. This is what we about to do. And again, still, man, you get tired of thinking about how 1989 Do the Right Thing. They talking about, the whole thing with Radio Raheem. Of course, if you've seen that movie,
Yep.
you know what happened. And still, here we are in 2020, and it's the same exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, higher learning.
Every
movie too.
and we've been talking about it for way too long, but before we were born and even to now, and we're tired. But I think honestly, I was talking to another friend, maybe like last week, and I said this is the first time where I feel like I was feeling pretty hopeful that there's a change for the better coming, and I'm cautiously optimistic, I guess you can say.
Yeah,
because people, it's not just us who are having these conversations, and I know people have their own views or own opinions about, well, why do we have to talk to, why do we have to talk to white people, the whole white savior thing. But honestly, like, if we're not all on the same page, then it's going to continue to be division, and we're not going to get anywhere. So I don't know. I even had, of course, I think not of course, but a few people have gotten those text messages where, the sorry text messages or how you doing text messages. And I know some people have mixed feelings about those too, but the text that I got, it meant a lot. I feel like, because
That's good.
it was an acknowledgement of, and the person who I got it from is literally the nicest person I've ever met. Like, she was my college roommate, and I have never in my life felt like she treated me any differently. And like, when I tell you, she has a heart of gold.
Right.
And but the fact that she reached out and said something like that, it really meant a lot. So the fact that they're happening, even if it did take all of this, the fact that it's actually happening I think is a good sign for the better. So
yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. The fact that people are even just having conversations, or like you said, just being acknowledged is it's a start. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't discredit small beginnings. So
right.
Take a lot of little steps. I feel like people think, it's not just gonna happen all at once. It's not just gonna change overnight. It's not just gonna be this radical 360 turnaround. Like, it's gonna be a lot of little steps that we're gonna have to take to gradually get to where we want to be. But it's worth it. It's so worth it.
Absolutely, it's worth it. And also, out of all of this, we still getting music about it, and we still getting, socially conscious music. We're still getting music about joy. We're still getting music about just humanity. And because even if you look at Instagram, like, there's Michael Kilgore, he made a song, like, I'm Not Fine. Saying, listen, all this stuff is going on, I'm not okay, so don't expect me to be. And then PJ Morton with his I'm Not Ashamed, or You Should Be Ashamed, or I think that's what it's called. But it's just throughout history, we've always found a way to let people know, like, how we're feeling. Just because just saying it don't, people don't listen. But when you put it to music, then all of a sudden it's like, kind of catches you off guard. You're like, oh, this is nice. And then you listen to the words, you're like, oh, I get it now. Yeah. So I just think it's cool how we can use our voices in ways to get people to listen when they don't just want to hear it coming straight like this.
Yeah.
Put some music behind it, then people are like, oh, okay, I kind of hear what you're saying now.
I think it was a good discussion. I think that, the voices will be heard, and if we ever get to a point, again, that we feel like our voices in the music industry, in the media industry, with podcasts and all these different platforms and the brands that we support and we're consumers of, if we feel like they're not listening, I have no doubt that we will make sure that they pay attention. People are definitely paying attention now. So
absolutely. And that's, I think, when I was talking to my friend who had sent me the text message, I was like, this is great, but don't ever forget that feeling that you're feeling right now. Like, don't let this be just a moment in time. Let this be something to push you forward, push you toward action, because we don't want our nieces and nephews, our kids, to be having to fight the power. And it's funny because I was like, talking to Blaze, my 10-month-old niece, who sometimes, you know, anyway, and I was just, you know, I was saying about something about fight the power or something about her fighting the power. And I was like, you know what? I was saying it jokingly, but I was like, hopefully you don't have to fight the power because the power should already be fought.
Yeah.
Should already be brought in.
Yeah. You know, so, but like I said, I'm hopeful and hopefully saying that is not naive.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic for sure. If you guys, so for y'all listening, if y'all have anything to contribute to the conversation, you know, please let us know. Put it in the comments. Send us an email if you want to at doyouspeakmusic.co@gmail.com. If you have anything else that you would like to say, if you have any suggestions about topics, you can let us know. And follow us at doyouspeakmusic.co on Facebook and Instagram, and Do You Speak Music on Twitter. And then we will actually do the topic that we talked about next time.
Yes. Sorry, we had to do a little pivot, but that's all right.
We had to do a little
That's
pivot.
all right.
Yep. I mean, we can't. We black. We black.
And that's
black and proud. So if it's happening,
anything else, yeah,
we got to talk about it. So so next week it will not be as, I mean, even I don't think it was like too heavy, but it will be more lighthearted next week. We are talking about our top 10 favorite vocalists of all time, from the time that they started recording on the little is it a phonograph? I don't know. I might have made that up. From the time they started recording on there, you said what?
To the days of auto-tune.
To the days of auto-tune, which never mind.
I was gonna say, listen, because that could be a whole thing in itself. We might have to do an auto-tune episode too.
Should we glorify it?
No.
If you would like to follow us individually, I am at MEB_1991. So that's EMMIEB_1991. How about you, ladies?
I am at ashcash__34 on IG.
Okay.
And then I am on all social media platforms, Khalila Renee, KHALLILAH. That is Renee with 2 E's, RENEE.
Boom. So again, we hope you guys enjoyed it. We love talking with you all. We hope that you will come back and join us next time. See you.
Bye.
Enjoy Juneteenth.
Yes.